Hi, everyone. I'm here with Chris Kuzmanovich of CVK Projects. He is an artist, he's a designer, and we've been friends for a long time now.
A long time.
A
Yeah.
long time. Many taco time dates together.
Yeah.
So Chris has a new show coming up at Christine Klassen Gallery, and it runs until December 5th. It's called Avalon. But I'm so happy to have you here today.
And I'm glad to be here. It's been a long time for us.
It's been a long time. I think the last time we had breakfast.
Yes, we had breakfast, and I might have lived out here because I moved to the suburbs. I became one of those people that moved from
I mean,
downtown.
I'm those people too.
That's true. That's true. You did it before me. My
Yeah.
suburb is way farther than yours. You're a hop, skip, and a jump to downtown, and I'm the edge of town. But I like it like that, and I never ever would have thought I would have been that person. But
Yeah, I would have never thought
downtown,
either.
it was just like it was like not loud, but it just gave me anxiety, and I'm just
Downtown did?
yeah. And now,
Interesting.
whenever I drive downtown, like if I'm going to meet someone for lunch or whatever, like I just get anxiety, like, oh, where am I going to park? And, all these weird things. But I like it out here. I feel like I'm away. I feel like I'm, rested, or I have less anxiety. So I'm not really changing this now.
That's good because actually that's one of the questions I had for you is about anxiety leading up to your show. Because
Yeah.
I know when I was in art school and every time I had a critique coming up and I had to unveil my work, I literally would get knots in my stomach and feel like I'm going to throw up before I presented my work because you never know how people are going to receive your work, right?
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
with this show specifically, it's something very deep to you and as part of your history. So how did you feel leading up to Avalon and to your unveiling of it?
Well, I felt okay, and I felt okay because it is my 12th show,
Mhm.
fourth at the gallery, but 12th overall. And I'm used to that feeling. I'm used to putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
I sort of got over, I guess, judgment or all that critiquing a long time ago. It doesn't mean that I can't feel it again or that I don't have feelings when I'm putting stuff out there, but it wasn't as stressful. This one, though, I will say, took me. I had the idea for Avalon probably, I think, about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I never really had, I guess, sort of courage to paint it or to go into that to sort of talk about all that. I'll talk about the concept, period.
Hmm.
So I did have a little bit of like, oh, but you know what? It was time. It
Yeah.
was time, and I was ready. And so if it was 3 or 4 years ago, it would have been perhaps terrorizing, but I was okay. I was
Yeah.
okay.
So maybe you can tell everyone a little bit about your inspiration for Avalon and what brought you to this body of work and how it was like its inception for you.
Well, sure. The basic concept of Avalon is the story of me, or the story of my life up until the point and past of coming out.
Mhm.
Um, I came out late, I guess. I think times are different now, and I think I would be super late if we were sort of talking about today's world. But I came out at 37, and so with that, did something happen to the screen?
No, I
Yeah,
don't think so.
something
Did
here.
something happen to your screen?
Well, no, I never mind. Oh, can you still see me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, I'm back. Okay. Um, so the story of me living and going through things all the way to coming out. Um, and so I wanted to paint that, and I wanted to put the good, the bad, the angst, the anxiety with all that of growing up and feeling, like different. Um, and as I was painting, a goal for me usually with all the stuff, with all my concepts, whenever I'm painting a show, is comes from a personal place for sure. It always does, but it always ends up being quite universal because I'm, no different than anyone else. It's all feelings that everyone's sort of had, sort of on their own and in different, in their own way. But what I was really surprised about when I was painting is that the themes or the concepts and the things that I was touching on, I realized we are no different. No one's different from each other. We've all had same feelings of, secrecy or hiding something or not wanting to talk about something, to isolation, to pure happiness. Yeah, and, the show is quite universal sort of with all those topics. And that made me actually, to tell you the truth, more comfortable when I was painting, that I wasn't doing something that was specifically me, that
Right.
someone was going to have to purchase a piece of my life.
Yeah.
That's a hard task, or that's a hard thing to ask people to do. Like, oh, give me your money and I'll give you a little bit of me. Of course, you get a little bit of me with every painting, just like any artist. But it really is about us as individuals, but how we are all sort of the same. We go through a similar journey. We've got some different roads that we take, but the basic concepts, or, just part of growing up, is all quite similar.
Yeah. So I own 3 pieces of your work, right? I
Yes,
think
you
3.
do. Yes, you do.
There's one that I really love that's in my basement, and like I look at it every day when I work out. But you know what? Like recently when I went up to it, I saw there was little words that you had hidden in it. And I had never realized it before. And I was like looking, and the more I looked, the more words that it came out to me that were hidden. And I'm like, so when you're just talking about hiding a little piece of your soul in your pieces, like you actually did do that.
Yes, I did a little bit of hiding. Um, I, I think that that's cool, and I think that that happens all the time to all of us, sort of in different ways. But like every morning that you wake up, it's a new day, and you're not a new person, but you kind of are. You're kind of reborn, I guess, every day that you wake up. So it's very possible to see something different every single day, to look at something in a different way, and you just, something caught your eye, and then you examined more, and then you found, you found another piece of me.
I
Yeah.
love it though, because I mean, I look at those pictures now for like, 11 or 12 years.
Yep.
And every time that I, do examine and get close up, I see new things in them. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the beauty about art, but also that it's very personal to you and to your process of what you've
Right.
created.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your coming out story, maybe that takes us more into Avalon, into a more personal journey?
Well, sure. I came out at 37. I'm 51 now. I know I look much younger,
You do.
but so
I
I've been
feel like you haven't changed at all, Chris. Like honestly, when I look back at pictures that I sent you this morning from years ago, I mean, I don't feel like you've changed a lot at all.
Oh, well, thank you. And thanks. Um, I always get sort of tied up in that, wondering, like, am I just one of those people that just thinks that I don't age? And so, like, I'll give a picture to someone of, like, oh, we'll just use this, like for some kind of social media thing or whatever. And like, it was like 15 years ago. And
You
then
look,
I'm like, am I just thinking that that looks like me? Or am I one of those crazy people that, doesn't think that anyone's going to notice? But thank you. What was I saying? Where was I? Where
oh,
was
your coming out
oh,
story.
so I came out. Yeah, that's right. So I was raised in a way that was all about work, 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 work. Um, I didn't have a good childhood at all. I didn't have sort of a good upbringing, and so it was mentally and physically abusive. And so I had sort of thoughts on my own already about self-worth and all those different things, on top of having these things in your head that you're like, on top of this, like, I am completely different. There's no one like me, except for maybe Paul Lynde on Hollywood Squares, which was not really like this good comparison that you wanted as a child. And so It was my sort of upbringing was all about work, 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 just get stuff done, don't stop to breathe, et cetera, et cetera. And so with something to hide, it made it kind of easier to jump into work and excel at whatever I was doing because I was trying to not have any other type of life.
Right.
And so through that, I put aside my authenticity, my inner feelings, whether right or wrong. Of course, at different times of my life, I thought it was completely wrong. So um, I just sort of let that part sort of go, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, it really starts knocking in your head, and you really start to think about like, okay, so there's got to be more to life than this, and I'm an authentic person, despite the fact that for years I sort of wasn't telling my whole story or living my whole sort of story.
Mm-hmm.
So as I got older, like it was at 37, I came to a point where I was just like, well, this, like, I've just had enough. Like, I mean, the things that you create in your head um, about anything that we do, anyone that has any type of anxiety or any type of, well, sort of any mental sort of thinking when you are thinking about like, this is what's going to happen if this happens, and you build it up and you build it up until you don't want to do that. I had finally reached a point where it's just like, well, this is done. I don't even care. I don't care if I'm killed in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if I'm ostracized. I don't care about all the things that you could possibly think of.
You hit your breaking point.
Right, exactly. Sort of getting down to almost like to a ground zero, and it's almost like starting over again.
Right.
So I actually had a date with just oh, these are all words from those times, but I had a date with a normal person, normal.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't anything that turned into romance or dating. It was just a date, but it was something, it was this light bulb that clicked that's just like, well, this was normal. This felt good. Why am I not just me? Like, why am I not just doing this?
Yeah.
So that was honestly on a Sunday afternoon, and it was June 13th. And I phoned my friend Sarah, and I just said, well, I'm ready. She knew. And she goes, oh, she's all excited about getting the toaster oven and all the things when you recruit a new one. And by the Wednesday from that Sunday, I had told all the people that I needed to tell, and the weight was lifted off my shoulders, and it was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And life started then. Life literally started then.
Were you painting before that or doing art before that?
I was doing art just on a sort of a light version well, I'd sort of always painted, but I had always painted for stress. I had always painted to get something off my shoulders that I didn't know what it was. And so, but it was after that, oddly, that I really started to paint. I really started to focus on painting and my design career. I started to appreciate more things, and I really started to look deeper. And I realized that after opening up like that, after being authentic, you really are your best self.
Yeah.
And so basically then it was the journey to become the best that I could be at being myself, I guess.
Yeah.
And so yes, I painted a lot more after that.
Okay.
Sure.
And how long have you been working on Avalon? Like how long, I guess, since you started the pieces for this show, how long have you been working on it?
I guess, well, as I said, it's always been in my head. Well, no, always. It's been in my head about 4 years with no courage. And it wasn't until this year, no, it was after my last show, probably November last year, that I started to think about, oh, I know what I'm doing this year. I know what this is going to be. And I started to form sort of, a vision of what the show looks like overall. And I started to write about the show. And so I always write my shows first, so I know it's to organize sort of my journey, the journey of painting and series. So, but I started to write this show in that sense. but also I painted it within kind of sets of 4, meaning there was kind of age 6 when I sort of first knew something was wrong, or well, I sort of did. You just,
Different.
it
Something
was
was
my
different.
earliest memory of knowing that I liked something or whatever.
Okay.
Till around 12. Then I have some from age 12 to 22, sort of within there. Then I have 22 to 37, and then 37 afterwards.
Okay.
So I sort of broke it down into those quadrants, and
Right.
then I started to write individually about those paintings with my vision and with some sketches. And then I really actually started painting in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like just July of 2020?
Yep. 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 When it hits, like it overtakes you or it overtakes me. And so I had written so much about it. I had it so organized up until that point. The last thing to do was just to sort of paint about what I had written. So I painted about those emotions, those feelings, specific things, but also just sort of general overall sort of senses that or feelings that I was going through. So the painting was, I'm not going to say that the painting was the easy part, but the painting was kind of the letting go, and the
Yeah,
writing
it's
was
been
kind of where there was slight stress, perhaps building up, like, thinking about all those memories
Yeah.
and thinking about a whole overall like 5 years of your life where you just kind of felt like this.
Yeah.
So it, the writing and the feeling, the painting was kind of just releasing that. So it went quicker than I would have thought. So yeah, July till well, a week before the show opened, I was kind of putting the last bit of varnish on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And how many pieces are in the show?
There are 15 within the show based on my concept.
Okay.
And then actually at the show, because of COVID, Christine's kind of just, the whole gallery was mine, or like a majority. So we hung 4 other ones that sort of worked within color and a little bit of the style, but they were smaller ones. And so those were hung up just sort of within this hallway as kind of a bridge between these 2 main areas. And oddly, they work in beautifully with the show. So yeah. So there's 19 hanging. There you go.
Excellent. And I saw that you, in what you sent me, that they're on birch.
Yes, except for one. There is one on canvas, because I can't even remember why now, but I had a canvas that was just here.
Oh, okay.
And I was getting all my birch panels. Some of them were just pre-purchased in the gallery, but I wanted lots of the show to be deeper. So they're 3 in. So they actually have some of them have this larger than life sort of feel because they're deeper. They have a little bit bigger sort of view from afar. So it was pretty cool. So as I was getting those made, and after I would finish one and I didn't have anything, I remember the painting that I was that I just felt that I needed to do that day. And I had this vision of how this was going to work. And all I had was this 40 by 60 canvas, which is a good size, but I'm like, oh, I wanted my whole show to be on birch, but it's on canvas. There you go.
Just one.
Yeah, just one.
But why did you choose birch? Just because it's deeper? That's what you liked about it?
Deeper. I really like the hard surface.
Okay.
Because I paint with palette knives and my hands, and I don't really use a brush or anything. And so, and with abstract, I like bigger, wider strokes and all those types of things. So over the past, 4 shows for sure, I've used a lot of birch, but I really wanted this one. There's something very solid about birch that I just felt was going with this show and these feelings, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. Getting like down to nature.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Getting down to the root.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I just was gonna ask you what your materials that you create with, because I noticed in these pieces that you're doing a lot more sketching. like maybe you're scraping your palette knife into the paint.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk much about your design background, your design work. And I've seen you sketch beautiful renderings.
Perspectives and yeah.
So how does your design background play into your artwork?
My sense of balance within a painting,
Mm-hmm.
or being out of balance, but not in a bad way. I have no idea how to say that in another way. But the scratching, or like a lot of the texturing and the scratching that I put in has been something that has kind of been in my paintings, I think, from the beginning, but it's only grown more. And in fact, actually, 4 shows ago when I joined the gallery, it was one of the things that Christine really, really liked, was this kind of architectural kind of feel of this scratching. This one has, this show probably has the most. The scratching and all going into all that texture really comes from a place of I want to say rawness. And not really anxiety in a bad way with the scratching. I think that it's the most raw thing on the canvas or on a board that sort of shows I'm present.
Right.
I'm doing this. And the lines are, most of the time, they come in the moment. It's in the moment of when I first go down, or I first do my first sort of stroke. And then from there, it just is a just a natural thing that sort of happens.
Yeah.
I've
always thought you're very expressive with color.
Right. And so this was actually quite a colorful show. I've had shows where it's more subdued. I really went back to color in this one, and a real richness of color. And I think that goes to talk about richness in life. Once you're authentic, once you are true to yourself and true to the people around you, there's a richness that happens. And I think that has to be celebrated, in color. And sort of warmth in color and things like that. So that was really important for my show.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like now we should cue the song True Colors by Cyndi Lauper.
Right. And I'll just do a bunch of poses like
right?
This.
Like a little montage.
Right, yeah.
That does bring me to my next point, which is music. And because I know music is a really important part of your life, an important part of your work. And I have so many great playlists that you've made me that are still on CDs in my car that I'll throw in once in a while. So what were you listening to while you're creating this show?
Well, it was just a sort of well, first of all, I listened to the song Avalon by Roxy Music. Over and over and over again, and the story behind actually the title Avalon comes from last year. I was listening to Avalon, and I'm like, what does Avalon even mean? Like, I didn't know.
I didn't either. I had to Google it.
Yeah, so I Googled it, and sort of in the mythical days or whatever of sort of Camelot, it was an island of healing. It was an island of birds. An island of plants and fruit, and basically just a paradise.
Yeah.
Which I then sort of took like, that's a place where you, like a paradise where you're regrouping and you're healing and you are continuing. And it's funny, part of the title, I then worked around, I used to run a restaurant downtown in Calgary. And we had regular customers, like it was regulars every day. And I'm not the greatest waiter. And I was actually, so many people have loved it, but called me like, the grumpy waiter or, and so because I was just me and, so I had these regular customers that came in like literally every second day, and they would stay for like 3 hours and drink coffee after food and stuff like that, or drink. And they were of a specific or a certain, I guess, type of religion, that they made things very clear about their opinions on things that were outside of their religion. And one of them was gay people, which that's a beautiful term in compared to how they would say it. And of course, I'm not out. So I'm listening to these things. I'm listening to the F word constantly.
Yeah.
And, I don't look back sort of in anger or frustration that I didn't say anything, because it wasn't the time. That's just
Right.
not how it was going to go.
Right.
But at one point, one of the guys had said they need to take all the F word people and put them on an island so they can kill each other with AIDS, blah, 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 like a whole rant. So it's horrible to listen to. It's horrible to think that someone actually has that attitude. But through the years, I've never forgotten that story. Here I am reading about Avalon, and I'm like, oh my God, an island of fruit, an island of birds, an island of paradise. This is exactly what Ray wanted. This is exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a weird way to get to the title, but it worked with me because Avalon was like Avalon is your community. It's your paradise, your sense of belonging.
Yeah, when I read the Wikipedia definition, I got it. I was like, that's why. Okay.
Okay, good. Oh, okay. I'm glad. That's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I answered that, but I think I went off on topic saying about what music. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
So yes, music. Music to me is really important. Like all day, I listen to just about absolutely everything. You know that.
Yeah.
And so I cannot paint without music, like without my headphones on. It's like I just channel into somewhere else. And that is when I become the purest form of me. And I'm with music and the headphones and painting, I am like 150% in the moment. So different shows have been sort of different sets of music or things. Sometimes I get a lot of titles from lines from songs that jump out at me that I've written down through the years. And so I listen to a lot of, there's a girl from, her name is Tash Sultana from Perth, Australia.
Oh yeah, I've seen her. I've seen her live here in Calgary.
No way. Are you serious?
You know what? The cannabis company Aurora brought her for an event, and
I wish that I would have known that. I sort of discovered her through this period of time, and she is absolutely spectacular. There is something so deep,
really vibey.
Yeah.
So
I listened to a lot of her, and then I listened to Avalon, and I listened to a lot of just really, some Roisin Murphy, and just stuff that really resonated with me. Not because of the show, it was just a song or a sound that I was really liking, and I would have things on repeat, and so they just create this vibe. And so there was only about 20 songs that I put on a playlist that I would repeat them, and so yeah, that's how it goes. But I've painted a few shows. My last show or the show before, the song Delicate by Taylor Swift really resonated with me, and also the sound of it. And so it was, I think it was my show 11 that it was mostly painted to one song, which sounds completely bizarre to people, but I can do that. I can listen to something.
And that it was a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah. So like, you always want, if it's about the arts, you always kind of want to feel like, oh, it's like some Bob Dylan songs and stuff. No, it was whatever was getting inside of me.
Yeah.
That just made me feel a certain way, and you run with it. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. I also just want to say that my favorite concert I've ever been to in my life was with you. We saw the Flaming Lips at Mac Hall.
Yeah.
Best concert ever. I saw that they just did a COVID concert in those bubbles, but everybody was in a bubble.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we were going to the show, we had, you had always seen the Flaming Lips picture or something in Rolling Stone where he's in that bubble. But for some reason, I don't know why, but I just remember thinking, well, he's not going to do that here.
Yeah, because it's a small venue, right?
Yeah. So it was just like, and then next thing you know, it comes rolling out in that. And I have the greatest picture of that, like in my house, like just because it came actually pretty close to us.
Yeah.
we were sort of over, sort of in the corner, but that is one of my favorite concerts of all time. They were true to the notes of the originals of what they
So good.
like they were spectacular.
I'm definitely including those pictures in our blog post of this.
Okay, yeah,
On
that's
the music
awesome.
topic, because that was just one of those nights that literally like creatively changed my mind about everything.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It was so
Yeah. Well, we also were at Mac Hall for Tegan and Sarah, and then I took us backstage, remember? Because
that was also great.
I know them. And so it was like, I remember for me, it was just kind of normal. And I remember that you were a little starstruck.
I totally was.
And I was sitting there and I was talking with Tegan mostly, and because that's where we were sitting. And then when we were leaving, you just sort of looked at me and I was like, I knew it. I was like, can we get some pictures?
Yeah.
And of course, we're all like,
I felt like a fly on the wall where I couldn't even like speak. I was just like,
yeah, it was awesome. That was fun.
that was a really good show too, actually.
Yeah, it was. I had seen them a few times before that. The sound was better at other ones, but it was just at the release of their big album that really, really broke them, with Closer on it, Heartthrob. So that it was a pretty momentous moment for me.
And then it was just up from there when they got the Lego movie deal.
Oh yeah.
Everything is awesome.
They just released a Christmas song on some kind of compilation.
Like now?
Yeah.
Oh,
probably last week. And honestly, it is so melodic. It is so Tegan and Sarah, but it is so universal. It's the greatest Christmas song.
Yeah. Okay, I'll look it up. I love those songs so much. That's another CD that I have in my car that I just like can listen to all day long.
Oh yeah. It's one of that Heartthrob became one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
When that was released. So yeah.
So great. Are they still in the US or what's up?
Yeah, I believe so. In Silver Lake, I think. And then I think Sarah might still have a place in Montreal and New York, but I'm not sure. I've sort of lost touch a little bit.
Just also because of COVID, I was wondering, because I know that they did an event with WordFest last week, but they were on different Zooms. So I didn't know if they're in the same place or not.
Maybe. Yeah.
Anyways, I was gonna ask you too, where you're creating these days. Do you have a studio space, or I know you always used to work at home?
Yes, always. Only for a small time, a little bit of a time did I have an office outside of my house, which also had a studio in it. When I moved to the suburbs, I moved it all here. And so I've got an office upstairs, and where I do my work, like design and all that stuff. And I have a studio on my main floor. And then in the summertime, I'm also painting in my garage too, because I sort of clear that out. And so it gives me lots of space.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I know what I was going to ask you. And I don't know if I ever knew this, but who is your favorite artist of like past, present? Who do you love the most?
Good God, what an awesome question. I will probably cliched wise, like I've always been inspired by Picasso.
Yeah.
All different phases of his sort of painting career. That is something that I really I'm always mesmerized by. And Mark Rothko, for as simple as his main period was, I've always sort of been fascinated by the depth within most of those paintings where someone else looks and says that's just like a block of yellow and some red.
Yeah.
But there's so much going on behind there that a huge fan. And then like I love anything that Andy Warhol did. I love all the pop art. I love his movies that he did that were so uncomfortable and weird. And like I really have loved those. But then when I think about modern times, or I'm really inspired by actually some people that are just at the gallery that are represented at Christine Klassen, like Carl White. His stuff is huge range of stuff. Something that I just really am always mesmerized, like when I'm looking at it. And Ronald Boakes, and then Teresa Pozniak, and then Lori Leskowicz. Like we had a show at the same time, and they were the exact opposites because hers was very still life, and mine, of course, was very abstract. But when you put those side by side, they worked so well together because there was this different part to a show. I think it was called Fantasia. That was the word isn't weird, but it was tricking your eye, and it was mirror images. It was just really cool. So like I'm all over the map, just like I am with music. I'm all over the map with art and what inspires me and what I love.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge fan, maybe even more, and I don't of photography. So my house has a little bit of art. Actually, it's mostly mine, but I did just get a Carl White. It's a lot of photography, and so there's something about real images that really capture me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we've shot together too. I have like the pictures I found this morning.
Yeah.
I found pictures this morning that I shot of you. And yeah, there was quite a few pictures that we've taken over time.
Oh, totally. I have a whole pile.
No?
What's that?
Can I put them in the blog post or no?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I really like those images.
Most of them I probably won't look fat in, so I'm fine.
You don't look fat at all in them. You look awesome. I remember specifically with one of them because you were working out a lot during that time. You were running. Do you remember?
Well, yeah. I was coming up to my strong show. So I had this insane idea to be naked in my poster.
Yeah.
That's not even a part of being naked is not even a part of my my existence, like in my brain. But I was determined. And so, that was everything about that was great. And in fact, actually, that painting, the main one that went for the show was when you told me to put the
bull skull
mask on my face. And it is, you know what? Like, I love that. Like, I love that picture. You don't know that it's me. You don't care that it's me. It's just a really cool shot. There's another one you took of me sitting in my chrome chair because this was in my loft.
Yeah, right.
That for so many things because like everything, the way that you had that shot set up was just incredible because when you look at it and you can see the reflection coming in and what it does to this painting that's beside me is just everything you touch seems to turn to gold.
No, I wish. But we've done a lot of really fun creative things together over the years. And I hope we do again in the future.
Oh, yeah, it's been far too long. And so when I was, I constantly think about you. And then, of course, it's weird, there's so many bad sides, I guess, to social media, and then, but at its purest form, it's about connection and it's about memory and it's about keeping up. And so, you live a very busy life, slightly glamorous too. I live a very busy life, not glamorous. And so I sort of, I keep up with you all the time by seeing what you're doing and listening to things and watching that. So there's a part of me always that feels like we just talked yesterday. Because as I say, like you still look exactly like you did before. Like you're beautiful, but you still look like, like I just talked to you yesterday. That's what it feels like.
That's true too, but you shouldn't say that your life is not glamorous because I see your projects that you post, especially your interior design projects, and they're super glamorous.
Well, thank you. I've got a few.
Very beautiful projects recently.
Thanks. I've been working, COVID didn't really slow me down in terms of design. Yeah, of course, there was probably about a month which was a good breather for me because it's pressure off. So everything, I'm always late, always. Everyone knows me to be late. And so, like I could get caught up on so much drafting and then I was writing the show and then it was just kind of this breathing space. And then the minute it sort of opened up like a little bit, because everyone was just like, we're about to go into a reno, like you literally, you do stop. And so everything was just quiet. But the second that it sort of just opened up even just a little bit, everyone was like, go, like, let's go, like, let's do this. So I've been very fortunate to be busy through the COVID time. So it didn't
really good.
It hurt me too much. I gained weight though. I don't like that.
We all did. Like I definitely did. I was like throwing pity parties for myself and having pasta all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But what's next for you? What's your next show? Do you have any ideas yet, or what's
Yes,
next?
I already know what my next show is. I've already started to write it, to tell you the truth.
Can we get a little preview?
Yeah. Well, I haven't started to paint, but the show is called, and actually Christine doesn't even know this yet. It's called Track 7.
Oh, cool.
So of course it has to do with music.
Yeah.
The basis is it's something that I sort of talk with Christine about a lot, or with closer friends. I'll say, a year after a show is done, okay, and like after a year, it's all resonated with me. I love it because I painted it, but it's like not everyone. After a year for my own self in my brain, do I think that says what I wanted it to say as outstanding as I think that this said that?
Right.
So, and then of course, you as an artist, or anyone that's an artist, will paint some stuff. You'll have your show up and you'll think, wow, like, this is going to sell in 2 minutes, or everyone's going to talk about this. And then there's another one over there that you're just like, well, like someone will like it.
Yeah.
But that's the most popular one. And you're like, what?
I know.
That's where I call it Track 7, meaning old school times when you bought an album. Like Track 7 was always like the second song on side 2 that was just like, whatever, like, so I'll say, to Christine now when we're going through old stuff, I'll go, that's like Track 7. Like, who cares? Like, I'll take that back. I'll do something else with it or whatever. Right. Yeah. So after I've been saying Track 7 for so long, I actually went and I looked and I've gone through my favorite albums of all time. And you know what? Over half of those albums, my favorite song on the album was Track 7. Honestly, Peter Gabriel, Digging in the Dirt is Track 7 on Us. And Take a Chance with Me on Roxy Music Avalon is one of my favorite songs. I'm like, I got to think about this Track 7 thing. So I actually have a list of 36 albums that are my favorites. And then highlighting Track 7. This is just the start. I don't really know how this is going to turn out, but I think I'm going to either whatever I take from that song, or maybe what the song's about, I might be painting something like that.
Very cool.
It's a little out there, or I don't know, but yeah.
I like it. I love it as a concept. So cool.
Thanks.
Because it is so true though. Like those random songs that you're like, they never got any airtime.
Well, yeah.
Listen to it on repeat.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, like Track 7 of some album, that's usually a song that's, when you go see the concert, they're not playing that song.
No.
Like, they're playing the hits and then some other songs that meant, but Track 7 to me is always just that track, or in my head.
Yeah.
So I thought was always that like, it sounds good between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
Because they're good. It's just a good little bridge. And then I realized, hey, let's look at Track 7. And so, so that's where I'm having fun with that. So
Track 7 will be like the bridge of your career.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I love it.
Well, thanks so much for having this time with me this morning, Chris. It's so nice to catch up.
Oh, thank you very much. This has been fantastic.
And remind everybody, the show Avalon is open until December 5th at Christine Klassen Gallery.
Yes.
And you can visit more of Chris's work at his website, right?
Yep. You can click on there. There's the picture with me with my mask on. Yes. And that goes to, it's my old website. So it goes to a Flickr page, but it just shows all some past work until my new website's done. But I do want to say that on all Saturdays from now until December 5th from 2 till 4, I'm at the gallery.
Awesome.
I'll be standing there drinking wine. I might just be drinking wine, or I might be answering your questions if someone shows up. So that would be awesome.
So if you have any questions for Chris that we didn't cover,
yeah,
go up on Saturday between 2 to 4.
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.